The new Star Trek films have been pretty polarizing. Okay, maybe really polarizing, but when I consider the fans who so desperately hate these films, I can only scratch my head. In my eyes, these movies are the truest love song to the original series since the show was canceled in 1969. Many fans tend to forget that Star Trek was already rebooted before JJ came along, back in 1979 with the motion picture. It had a different tone, different uniforms, new characters, an entirely redesigned visual style. Do these even look like the same franchise? Let alone the same alien species? So why is it that some fans were enraged when J.J. Abrams introduced a Star Trek film that was actually shockingly similar to the original series? Bright colors, scantily clad women, creepy alien atmosphere, fun action-adventure scenes, wild animal attacks. I could go on. Contrary to what some disgruntled fans would have you believe, the writers of these movies really get the original series in a way that no other Trek movie did. In fact, the classic films didn't even acknowledge that the original series existed. They all seem to take place in this alternate universe that has little to no... Wait, that sounds like the way some people talk about the JJ films, but it's true. Many were upset about Spock and Uhura's romance, for instance. But they obviously didn't watch the original series where Spock and Uhura had a thing for each other. We've just forgotten about it. In another lifetime or another universe, they might have been romantically involved. And JJ's films exploring that is actually expanding on a concept from the original series. Or take Chekhov, for example. In the original series, he was actually a pretty useful guy to have around. So useful, in fact, that he often fills in for Mr. Spock. No easy task. But in the classic Trek movies, he's just extra baggage. He has to be there for the poster or the trailer. But he has nothing to do, and it seems like he has no special skills except for being that silly Russian guy. But JJ's films remember that Chekhov used to be a capable character.
You can do it, sir.
I can do that. I can do that.
He's introduced to us as the Russian whiz kid, which is totally appropriate, but only to his character in the original series, not the two-dimensional caricature from the classic films. JJ's writers are so familiar with how the original series was that they can work in references that even hardcore Trekkies might miss. Let's look at this scene from the original series.
My commander wishes to speak with you, Captain Kirk.
Look familiar?
My commander requests the presence of your captain.
Or how about this?
Aren't you the one that always says a little suffering is good for the soul?
I never said that.
Where are we?
Medical bay.
This isn't worth it.
A little suffering's good for the soul.
Hey, how are you?
The writers apparently even watched the animated series.
Your father brought Shane to Vulcan. He married a human.
He's a traitor, you know. Your father. For marrying her. That human whore.
Logic offers a serenity humans seldom experience in full.
Logic offers a serenity humans seldom experience.
The time draws near when you will have to decide whether you will follow Vulcan or human philosophy.
The question you face is, which path will you choose?
When did Prime Trek ever acknowledge the animated series? Or how about this?
Even I, a half Vulcan, could hear the death scream of 400 Vulcan minds crying out over the distance between us.
I had experienced those feelings before, multiplied exponentially on the day my planet was destroyed. Such a feeling is something I choose never to experience again.
You speak about the objective hardness of the Vulcan heart, yet how little room there seems to be in yours.
These movies are jam-packed with character moments and references to classic Trek. And yet, many of the naysayers think that the writers didn't know anything about Star Trek, without realizing all the references and connections they themselves missed. With all this consistency and connection, it's easy to see that the JJ films are actually truer to original Star Trek than anything that came after 1969. And maybe that's part of the problem. Trekkies have gotten so used to the post-TOS reality, the one where Kirk is aging and insecure, the one where the color is gone and the lights are low. And eventually, the next generation rebooted Star Trek yet again with a new style, new designs, and entirely new characters. The action-packed, colorful interstellar romp was over long ago. Now, Star Trek is about politics and muted discussions about ethics. And when JJ gave fans a blast from the past wrapped up in a high budget and modern style, many fans felt betrayed. It was nothing like their Star Trek. And that's exactly right. JJ films are nothing like the majority of Star Trek, but they're exactly like the first 3 seasons that started it all. And that's something really special.